money for the defendant and a high rate of interest excludes the victim, who will own 2 guineas. Ah, yes, 20 guineas. 20, I misread. The victim owed a considerable sum. And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense. Hey, no. Well, it would seem that I've had the wool pulled over my eyes. Regrettably, madam, this is the modus operandi of the accused. Hey, I know what that word means. That means, like, that's his staple. That's, like, his thing when he does the crime. It's a pretty little part two. What a scoundrel. Still, maybe it's all for the best. Oh, wait a minute. I don't stand for nonsense. What'd he say? History. Wait a minute, let's think about this a little more before. Come on, get up, Ryunosuke. You still got this. This was it. The last year's decisions. According to this encyclopedia of British law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. The final verdict. It's over then. Oh! There's a footnote, though. A footnote. However, the defense all 6 members of the jury now in agreement in this case. Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude this trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections. What were you gonna say, Suzuto? Tell me. Suzuto, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes? You were in the middle of saying something before. Footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law, however, the defense. What did it say next? Oh, of course, one moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. Huh? I remember the fan translation calling it something completely different. I don't remember what it was called, but I think it was called like judicial hearings or something. Summation examination.
Objection!
Objection! The summation examination. From which century is the tome you have there been resurrected? Ah! Judging from the bindings, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text of British law wouldn't give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic long forgotten, certainly no longer practiced. But it wasn't removed from law, now was it, Van Zykes? This is like the duel thing that the Florida man tried to do because, was it Florida? Some guy got arrested and he was like, what sense? You want a plea deal? What's your sense? And he's like, you know, back then, it was never outlawed. I would like my trial to be done by duel to the death. And they're like, what? And they're like, it's a parking ticket, bro. And he's like, I would like a duel to the death. And they're like, shut the fuck up. Go take your community service. So I guess they could just dismiss it if it's really out of practice. But I mean, that's not how this is not how Ace Attorney works. So you're out of luck. Oh. What even is it, Miss Suzuto? The so-called summation examination. Oh, one moment and I'll read about it. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Typical Nepalese. Alright, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury. I actually very clearly remember this, so if I just... If I don't press anything and I just go for it, my bad. Like, and from what I remember, the pressing isn't all that entertaining. To do what exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reserve their decisions. It says right here that, if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions. Yes, as time goes by, barristers could use summation examination to attempt to influence the jury decision. But that procedure became something of a formality, no practical benefit really, so it rather fell out of use. I wonder why. Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would ever assert his right to try in this day and age. Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? Oh, you know where this is going. Come on, Zykes, you're smarter than that. Suggest that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Summation examination, our last possible option. We assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat. Assert our rights, baby! Always assert your rights. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
Hell with the objecting. But it's our right. But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe we can prove vital to this trial. The defense petition is perfectly valid, and the court will proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? I'm not. There was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so all members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision. Yes, you can't say because he's rich, juror number 3. What grounds? Must all justify your decisions, explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, my lord, you were rather putting us on the spot. This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before. Not really hold all this justifying lark. Because you don't have a justification. That seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them have any experiences before. Alright then, summation examination. Defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for. To turn this trial, to turn the case around! So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of this most serious crime. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. There was no one inside the cage at the time, so it had to have been him. I trust the driver. He has excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers, with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I've simply typed and collected all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. Well, that was obvious. The scoundrel stabbing the poor man on the floor. I beggar belief. Well, I found all of them. I was like, okay, maybe it being localized different might change this, but no, Might make it harder, but no, that was so obvious. Those serious don't seem to well formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. Throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I was gonna have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're very unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, reach their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. The pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, they could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, that's hiding one. I'm just citing what I read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. You fucking hurt our feelings, Ryunosuke. Alright, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public, and they appear to be present in a united front, but the truth is, they're all individuals. They're completely strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. Just listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. So we can contrast the statements that pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see, so it's contradictory for what 2 or more jurors say what they're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes. I suppose you're right. Find contradictions in their statements and pit it against the jurors for wanting to break them down. Alright, I may not be able to pull this off. I might be able to pull this off. No, that's wrong. I have to pull this off. We start proceedings then, counsel. I'd ask you to take the stand for this. Expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. The defense's rebuttal. Alright, just clearing it all out.
Objection!
If he had 20 pence and there's 4 pence of people, then there should be 5, not 4! These 2 statements clearly contradict each other. They do. Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? That's why the silver blazed maiden name. I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. According to the group's testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence as in fares. Right. I have those 2 precise details neatly typed here out in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. Fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That is it. A fair and convenient single price, just the way Londoners' carriages should be operated. But that doesn't even add up at all. In fact, that leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication. It would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact, or precisely 1 person's fare. One person's fare. Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible. There was another passenger we heard nothing about. Dun 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 dun. This can't be right. Coachman of the Guild are good, honest men, once and one and all, and trustworthiness is our watchword. Figures your coachman claim most certainly do not add up. Watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if the trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he left nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end, huh? Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side of the set of scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman. We're all in agreement. Why do you have to go in? Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. Oh, this is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same. I will say the excitement of summation examinations is really cool. It's just that, I don't know. I don't like how slow this game is so far. For the love of Mike, not you as well. A penny could be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo, you did it. If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, we could force the trial to continue. Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na-na. 2 more, actually. There's something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. And that's where you must strike next. So they need to put 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavily on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination. Changing my leaning to innocent, I should like to hear what the slip-hole bookkeeper has to say for himself. Is this guy stuck the chap next to him just like this? Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen. So he's saying he stabbed him when he was directly next to her, but the old lady is saying a scoundrel stabbing the poor man on the floor. So one thinks it's on the floor and the other knows it's next to him.
Objection!
Yeah! These 2 statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel, post-haste. Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all the claptrap? Why does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual movements when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can you see I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Ah, what's it? Test me, do you? It was like this, stuck the fellow next to him without getting up, just like the prim banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony, quite true. Now then, juror number 6. Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbings in the totally different directions. What? Bless me stitches. What a muddle. What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh. But why? What the dickens would they lie? I don't know yet. But what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good consciousness? Dun 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 dun. Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. Can't abide people telling lies. Dun, 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 dun. The scales. I don't believe it. Hold it. Wait. Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. I can use magic. You really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, Dark Jinx. Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? What of these two slightly different recollections of events? What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus. And this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Shylock stabbed him again. This old lady saw him do it. Well, let us say it didn't happen like that, Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why would I take this knife to you? Well, I should. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. They're ready to kill each other now. Be tall, stand tall, Ryunosuke. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime? Out of the question. He was only stabbed once. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, you dark jinx? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible, and it's out of the question. Well, hey, what are you talking about, man? What can you possibly say that? You realize that I'm only doing my job. I was foreman of the jury. I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That was what I wanted to see. I say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. You say that's out of the question? Show me some proof. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence, as you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime, as proven by this single stab wound to the abdomen. This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Only once. It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means the witnesses couldn't have possibly seen it happen two different times. Alright, I concede defeat. Yay! Ryunosuke, you're a god! Oh, hey, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. We've done it. We've won! What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. We had consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a lie when I see one. And if that trap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every hair off his head. You weirdo, you were licking that knife. Please tell me he's a barber. Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examinations flipped to balance the scales of justice. Jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to educate, and the trial must continue. Hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witness to return to their places.